Hello, guys. Welcome to our session today. Uh, Unfortunately, once again, BB didn't work for me. I don't know if you can connect, but when I try to connect, it is kicking me out. Do you also experience the same problem? Can you share it with me? So, are you okay with BB? Is it working for you? Okay, very good. Um, Seems like a lot of people are having the same problem. Currently, you should be able to see my screen. Can you see my screen? Yes, very good. Now, the first thing I'm going to discuss today is I uploaded the form on Moodle that I told you about, the project team form. Now you'll be able to download this form under the project section. If you click on it, there will be a Word file being opened up, and you can open the Word file to see the content. Just gonna move it in here so you can see it better. In here, you will basically fill the form with a team name and a project topic, the one that are listed on the course outline. Let me just close my own personal data. So in here, you will be able to see, you will be able to write the code, the topic name, and also the programming environment that you are going to work with. Now, these are just suggestions, C++, C#, Java, mobile, whatsoever. Each topic should be handled with either a mobile technology or a desktop or a hybrid one and so forth. So when I say a mobile technology, I'm not enforcing you to use Android Studio or any other application. You can also use any technology that was not explicitly taught to you. In fact, I'll encourage that. The down part is you're gonna write your team member name, surname, and student number. Underneath, I want a short description of what responsibilities would you like to have, and even give some information about which agile development you're going to use, such as you're going to strictly use Scrum, or maybe only Kanban boards, or maybe a hybrid one you're going to take up and perform a different one. So you just need to discuss what kind of responsibilities you're going to have. If it is Scrum, for example, obviously one of the members should be the Scrum Master, and the other responsibilities should be divided. So you're gonna give me a brief description about these responsibilities of how you're gonna handle the life cycle of software development. You're gonna give information about the programming environment, and also it would be nice if you also give me some information on the tools that you're gonna use, but this is not a must, because you might not have enough time to try it right now, and you might change your idea. So I'm going to give you some time to decide which tool you want to use. But this form is something I expect you to fill by next week, Tuesday, and I'm going to collect them from you. So I will create an upload link so you can send them to me through Moodle, and I will not create the link before. I will just create the link on the day, so every person can upload it at the same time. So we'll see how it goes. And if someone uploads your topic, obviously you will have to change it. So make sure to select 2 topics. Okay. I work in a first come first served base. So the earlier, when I open the link, the earlier you upload, I will take up the time to decide which group takes which topic first. So that is my way of dealing with it. Any questions? No, everything is clear. Okay, very good. So that's how we're gonna do the part where the topics will be selected. Okay, someone asked a question. I think it was Darlington. That why am I the only person using Zoom and why no one else uses it? I don't know. I can't answer to that question. I told the other people that this is a very reliable software. It is being used by many institutions, organizations, and universities around the world. I suggested it, but apparently the university policy is they want to use BB for the attendance purposes or whatsoever because everyone can connect with their own student number and they can track the student progress because that is where the course material is being uploaded, which I understand, and it's actually not a bad idea. It could have been a nice solution, but the reality is I don't think our university has the infrastructure to handle this many number of concurrent users. Because currently, right now, on Moodle, there are over 800 people concurrently using Moodle, and the servers are not designed for that. It's usually for offline activity, like not many this many concurrent users used to connect, so they were not ready for this, and that is why the software is collapsing all the time. And I have been using, yes, Zoom. It works better for me. Before I go further and look into today's subject, I'm just gonna go up and discuss today's topic. Do you have any questions before I start? Anything that you didn't understand after going through the project description or any other stuff you want to ask? Yes, Darlington, you can talk.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to ask you, who is going to be our customer in this sense? Because the whole idea of agile development is making sure you get feedback, after your iterations. Are you going to work with us in this regard, or do we
If
just?
you if you ask questions, yes, I'll be your customer.
Okay.
This is why we have these sessions in here. It's not only doing the lecture, but I will dedicate probably one of my lectures for project discussion. So people like you, if you have any questions you want to ask, you'll be able to approach me and ask. Currently, I am going to be the customer for you because we don't have
Oh,
any alternative.
okay.
Okay. Any other question? No. Okay. Today's topic is software project management. We will discuss some of the management features in software project management. And we will also discuss the developer's role, as we discussed in the previous lectures. I'm just going to ask you a question before we start. Do you know what is a full stack developer? Just do not Google it. Just tell me if you know it. Have you ever heard the term full stack developer? Anybody? You can raise your hand. I can see it on the list. Yes. Okay. Can you tell us what you know about full stack development, Darlington?
Well, I'm not sure about other forms of development like mobile or desktop development, but I hear about it more often when it comes to mobile development, mobile applications and websites. So it basically means someone who is able to work on both the user side of the software and the server side of the software.
Very good. I agree with you. This is more of a developer environment that has risen from the internet um, programming, I would say. So not necessarily mobile, but e-commerce side of programming. And it jumped into other fields now that many of the developers today, especially as you said in mobile development, they are looking for full stack development. And as you said, this is not only covering the server side, but also covering the user side, user management, customer management, and even further configuration, customer support, and so forth. So it's not necessarily only on the user or the backside of the software, but other aspects as well. And because of this way, because of the rise of the mobile development in the last 10 years, the way that project management has been done also changed according to this. So the project managers are not only managing the developers anymore, but managing many aspects of the project simultaneously. So what is software project management? Project management can exist in many different areas. It can exist in civil engineering, it can exist in other disciplines. But for us, project management, software project management is so much more different. And I would argue it's much more difficult as well. There are specific reasons for this, and we're going to discuss most of it throughout this course. But let's look at what it means to manage a software project. When the software managers are hired, they are involved in ensuring that the software is delivered on time and on schedule and according to the requirements. These are the major jobs, I would say. A software manager is responsible to deliver the project on time, the schedule, so managing the people, and also managing the requirements. There are many different resources that the software managers should look after, but their priorities are the people, the requirements, and the resources. Of course, these are subject to budget and schedule constraints of the project, but software project management is probably much more unpredictable when compared to other areas. There is no guarantee that the software will be developed and delivered on time, even though the software project management is on the right track. Even if the managers are managing the people rightly and the resources, there is no guarantee that the software will be delivered on time or within that specific budget. There are specific reasons for this. The most and the unpredictable one, I would say, is that the nature of the software. Software, as we discussed in the first lecture, is an abstract, intangible concept. It is not possible to measure software, or it is not possible to see 100% development because it is not something physical. Most of the engineers, they would work on something physical that you can actually see and touch the progress itself, such as buildings, machines, electronic devices, and so forth. However, in our field, this is more difficult because what you see is basically a user interface. And especially if you are developing something at the background, it is much more difficult to prove that the project is progressing. Basically, software project managers are responsible to achieve four important goals. These are to deliver the software on the agreed time with minimum delay, to keep the budget as efficient as possible, to deliver the software that is promised and meeting with customers' requirements, and to maintain a coherent and well-structured team so that that team can stick around and work for other projects as well. So you are going, if you're going to be a software manager, or if you are assigned under a software manager, you should know that these people are responsible to deliver the project on time, use the resources as efficiently as possible, meet the requirements, and finally manage the people in the company. There are specific difficulties as we discussed, and these are the nature of the software usually. Software is intangible, it's an abstract concept. It is not always easy to track down the progress, as we discussed. Another important reason why it is more difficult than any other engineering is because the large projects, they are often called one-off projects, which means the experience that you gain from one project is not always transferable to another. This means that just because you did a mobile application and it was a successful project previously, doesn't mean that the next mobile project you do is automatically a success. Unfortunately, this is a nature of our field, and if you look at the other fields, it's not like this. So when you want to build a bridge in a country, for example, in between rivers or just two landscape, you hire the people who have the most experience in that kind of regard because their experience is transferable. However, in our fields, you might come across very experienced people, very big companies making huge mistakes, and their knowledge is like not transferable because of management problems, because of other issues that you see, wow, how come that big company made such a mistake? Or completely the opposite, an amateur, just newbie people developing a software, and it just booms and it just becomes a huge success. So it is not always easy to foresee this because while these people could have a lot of experience in software development, it doesn't mean that their experience is automatically transferable from one project to the other. Software project processes, which we covered in the previous lectures, they also have their weak and strong sides. There is no one agreeable standard way to develop all software. Each project is unique. The way that you develop a mobile application is very different than developing a hospital system. And again, the way that you develop an aircraft tracking system to handle the air traffic in the air is so much different than probably an e-commerce website. So although all of these projects are gathered under the umbrella of software engineering and project management, each and every project is so different. So you need to look into the nature of the project. More importantly, even if in the same field the projects are developed, such as two mobile applications, they could follow completely different process models. One mobile application can use, for example, a distributed system structure, where another one strictly uses uh, a Scrum model, for example, and another one can take up Scrum and just combine it with Kanban. So it's like the process models themselves also differs. So the way that project is managed is different as well. So you need to understand the strong and the weak sides of the process models being followed to develop that specific project, which makes it even more difficult. So because of these four reasons, I will argue that managing software engineering project is probably more difficult than any other project management in the engineering discipline. So some of the stuff that we already argued are listed in here. Software is an intangible thing. We cannot see or touch it, and managers cannot see the progress that easily. There are no standards in general software projects. There are just approaches. A game is designed and developed so much different than a stock control application. And often large software project managers, their experience is not always transferable. There are specific factors that the software managers should be hired based on their experience or past work, and they should also regard each project differently according to the company size, according to the number of customers that are going to use the software and their requirements, according to the size of the software and the type, which is basically web page, mobile application, streaming service, whatsoever. The organizational culture, this is very important. The culture actually has a huge effect on how softwares are formed. So a Western culture is much more different than an Asian culture. For example, in Asia, particularly in China, people play a lot of mobile games. So they are almost, regard that mobile games is a huge industry there. They are as popular as the console games and the PC games in the West, where in Western cultures, like in Europe, mobile games is seen something like you play when you are bored or when you wait a bus to go somewhere or just when you sit down and wait another lecture to come. So it's just a pastime in the Western culture, where in the Eastern one, it's kind of like their core thing that they do as a hobby. So because of the organizational, culture, the way that software is perceived differs. Finally, software development process that is selected also has an effect on how software is managed. As an example, in Scrum, we don't have a specific project manager. We have Scrum Masters, which are at the same level as you are, but what they do is they manage the activity. So they keep the team together. They arrange the meetings. They go to your board and look at the stuff that you are working on, and they are kind of like coaches rather than managers. They're like motivating you to work. Where in a big organization, this is not a viable solution because there are so many people working on the same stuff, so they cannot do that. What they do is they keep a strict hierarchy. So even if you are experienced in managing Scrum projects, you will probably be not very good on a big scale project because that is where your experience lies. Although we cannot say that the information is not 100% viable, your experience basically lie in developing small and medium-sized projects. So, what are the project managers' role in software? They need to basically organize activities. They need to come motivate the people and make sure that they collaborate. Their first and one of the most important duty is to managing people, to keep the team together, to create good ideas in an organized way, so they can be motivated and work together. And essentially, this comes with leadership. So, to summarize, software project managers are responsible for planning, organizing, scheduling software project development. They supervise the work to ensure that it's carried out through the required standards and make sure that the progress is monitored. The most important job of a manager is to constantly ensure that the project is meeting the scheduled deadlines and parameters. There are three important categories that managers should manage in a software project. First of all, the planning, the resources themselves, such as scheduling the project, assigning tasks to people, making sure that the requirements are being met through not through well throughout the team, and basically everything is on track. The next factor is risk management. The risk manager assesses the risk that may affect the project. Monitoring these risks is essential because if you do not monitor these risks, they may arise to become big problems which might affect the overall process. And finally, probably the most important part, I would say, is the people management. People need to be sure that they are actually a part of the team and they need to be there to work effectively, to show an effective performance. I'm just going to ask you this question in here, stop and maybe refine. And you see two pictures on my slides. Do you know what these projects are? Have you ever seen them before? Yes. Can you name them? You can also talk by raising your hand, should you want to. Yes, very good. Google Plus and Google Glass, right? What happened to these projects? Like I remember back in 2015, 20, not 15, 2014, 2013, these projects are foreseen as like big thing. You know, when Google Plus came out, it was like, oh, this is gonna be the next social environment. It's gonna engulf Facebook. It's gonna replace Facebook. And Google Plus, they even held like I remember I was in Cyprus at the time, and it was like they held a big conference thing for Google Plus to introduce this product to public, and everyone was on queues to try it, and they saw it as a big thing. But what happened to them? They just disappeared, isn't it? I think last year Google Plus was shut down completely, and even before that, Google Glass died. So, any idea among you who wants to discuss what happened to these products? They are essentially software projects. Although one of them is a product, they are very different software projects. One comes with hardware, but they are both regarded as software projects. And I want you to discuss a bit what happened to them. Can you please talk? You just raise your hand and you can talk. We've been using Zoom for some time. You should learn how to raise your hand. Yes, thank you. Ahmed. Yes, Ahmed, talk. You raise your hand. Okay, Ahmed doesn't want to talk. Rawand?
Yes, sir. You can hear me, sir?
I can.
Okay. So first of all, it's about the smart glass. The smart glass, I made a small research about a long, long time ago. Well, the smart glass, it was dependent on augmented reality, of course. You know, seeing that it's like merging the 3D object with the reality, right? But the first problem is that the users, they didn't know that why it requires something like this, because they have something like a smartphone, it can do all the jobs. Why they didn't like just to see around them, like combine 3D object with like with the reality. And the
Yeah.
second thing is this augmented reality was not kind of perfect. It was not recognize the items perfectly. Okay. And they even plan to add like a GPS for it. And you realize the future for augmented reality with GPS, it's not actually stable. Because usually like a feature like Mapbox, if you check them, when Mapbox was using it for a GPS, it was not showing the exact location or directions. Like this is like the research I did a long time ago, which is I saw it was not kind of used for it. But for the Google Plus, well, we already have the like like feature like Facebook or Yahoo. They came before Google. So Google Plus not was something like it was more. They were more popular than Google Plus.
Okay. Any other ideas? Very good points, especially on Google's Glass. I like your opinion about it. There's another reason why Google Plus disappeared, though, and it's a very important lesson there that we should learn from it. Especially Google should learn from it, and I hope they learned their lesson. There's another reason, very important one, that why Google Plus disappeared or wasn't popular. And if there is anyone else who wants to discuss, I am going to create a new session because I'm out of time, but we still have 5 minutes. So if you want to discuss, I can listen to you. Anyone else who wants to participate their opinion? There are people who have never talked to me in this class. You need to come forth and talk, guys. This is a session that we need to discuss. We need to put our efforts. So anyone else? Yes. We are listening you. Eze.
He basically said most of what to say about smart glass, but I think also it's a bulky piece of technology. Not everyone wants to put that on their face. They had an issue with the design and the weight also.
And what about Google Plus?
For Google Plus, I think because we already had Facebook, they didn't have much. The we had to use Google to sign up, I think, and for something to come better than Facebook, they had to bring something better than Facebook. And since no one's not the need for, I don't know, I think there's nothing better than Facebook for them to overtake Facebook.
Okay. I'm going to share my opinions with you and put a historical perspective to this. Yes, Ravant.
Yes, so one last thing I want to add, actually, maybe because of Google Plus like failed, but that doesn't mean in the future maybe it will not be popular again, because there were so many things. Like they used to have a smartphone with double camera long time ago that Samsung created, and it failed. But later, after like 9 years or 10 years, you see this smartphone line now they have triple camera, they are double camera. So even if the technology is created previously, that doesn't mean it will fail in the future. I just want to add this. That's all. So.
Okay, very good. I'm going to stop this session in here now and discuss my opinion and add a little bit of historical perspective to this in the next session. Okay, so we are under the 5 minutes now. I'm going to stop this session and we go back to the Moodle website, and I will invite you again, okay, in the second part. So see you soon.